All right, guys, we are live. So today I'm going to be talking to you guys about a nutrition company called Habit. And just to give you guys a little bit of a background of what kind of work this company is doing, I think it's important to give up some background on the actual founder. So this company was actually founded by just somebody who he had ups and downs in his diet. He was at 6% body fat, running marathons at one point, and then later on in his life he gained 60 pounds, and he thought diets were confusing. He thought it was confusing to hear that at one time eggs are good and another time eggs are bad, and he just gave a TED talk, which I linked in the description down below, about how confusing diets have been, and how kind of his path that he's been down with dieting. So and right now it says my orientation is locked. Um, Sorry about this. I just want to fix this for you guys. Let me know in the chat if my orientation, if the layout on the screen is messed up. But yeah, so basically he gave a TED talk talking about how he got into this business. And I thought this was important to bring up because this company was started from a business mindset, and it wasn't until this company actually got going with a 30 some odd $1 million investment from Campbell's that it actually started to grow and take on scientists and actually start to work in the more scientific aspect. So so I want to kind of answer how this company actually works. So if you were to buy into this type of diet, this personalized diet, you would pay for a $299 test kit. And with that test kit, it's actually laid out kind of like a book. So you would open the test kit up, and there would be a swab sample that you would take. You would take a saliva sample, which you would send in so they can actually test your DNA, sequence your DNA, and get that information. And then there is a blood test sample. And then after the blood test sample, you drink this shake. Now, this shake isn't just like a normal, protein shake or meal replacement shake. This is actually a shake that is meant to challenge your body by digesting a heavy amount of nutrients. So the shake is basically like 50 grams of fat, 60 carbs, 25 protein. So a pretty big meal for your body to take on at one time. So the idea behind the shake is it actually connects to a test called a FenFlex test, which is basically just testing to see how your DNA expression changes after your body's been challenged with a high nutrient intake meal like this shake. So what they do after you take the shake is you take two more blood tests, one a half hour after you drink the shake, and then another one like an hour and a half after. You send in your results, and then with those results, they're actually able to graph out and map out how your body handled that stress of taking in a high fat, high carb, high protein nutrients all at one time. So that's basically how the test kit works. Now, I wanted to kind of unpack and get into why I think this company is helpful and why it might not be the time for a company like this yet. So I think it could be helpful if you're just looking for a diet that's nicely laid out for you, that's going to give you your own profile. It's going to show you what type of genes you have, what type of gene expression you have. There are certain genes that have been tested and have been studied that actually show like different ways people store fat or different way people digest carbs. And one of the genes that they actually give you in your profile map is called an FTO gene. So there's a lot of different FTO genes, a lot of different variations. I'm not going to get into it in this live stream. I might have somebody on in the future to talk more about FTO genes and what they know about them. But basically what the FTO gene is, it's a gene that's related to somebody's ability to store fat. So this is one of the genes that Habit will look at in your DNA sample. So for example, if you have an expression of a specific type of FTO gene in your profile, then they might build a diet for you that is lower in fat, maybe higher in vegetables, higher in protein, higher in carbs. And that's just one example of one of the genes they would look at. Now, they have looked at studies on different FTO genes and if somebody inherits them, if they're more prone to storing fat. And one of the studies actually looked at obese mice. So they looked at an obese parent who had offspring, and they actually found that in that offspring, that FTO gene was expressed more oftentimes than in an offspring from a healthier parent. So and then that offspring from the unhealthier parent or the obese parent with the FTO gene expressed, that their offspring actually expressed that gene later on in their life and actually stored more fat over an extended period of time. So that's one study that has looked at it, and there's also been a study in the New England Journal of Medicine that has looked at different variants of FTO genes and have found similar results or similar findings with people who have certain variants of FTO genes expressed, that these people actually do store fat more throughout their life. So that's one example of one gene that they look at. Now, the not so much an issue, but it's good to look at this from different perspectives. So one of the things I was talking about at the beginning was that this diet lays out a nice profile in a nice way, a nice thing for you to follow if you're new to dieting, or if you're new to losing weight, or if you've tried a lot of different things and they haven't worked. This gives you your own profile, your own macronutrients, your own micronutrients to target, your own recipes, and it builds it based on all the information that you've given them from your blood tests, from your DNA, and then from the other two blood tests, and all the tests that they take, they combine those, and then they'll give you again like a full profile of how you should follow a diet. Now, like I said, it can help people over the long term who don't have experience with dieting, or want something that looks really nice and is easy to follow and is trackable. And I wanted to bring up another study that actually did find pretty significant results with people who had their glucose tested over a 1 week period, and there was 800 volunteers in the study, and they had their glucose levels tracked every 5 minutes, whether they were exercising, whether they were eating. They were also taking pictures of their food, sending them in, and this whole study was tracked over a week. And I'll have all the links in the description if you guys want to look any more into these references or the videos that I brought up. But so they've tracked these 800 volunteers, and what they found is that there were people who ate the same food during that time that had different responses in their glucose levels. So say one person ate ice cream, another person ate sushi or something. Those two people might have had the same glucose response, even though they were two completely different foods, or there were also people who ate the same food that had different responses. So this was one study that kind of supported the idea that maybe doing these types of testing with blood glucose and with DNA testing, that maybe there is something there to formulate a diet around. But I still think at the end of the day that this diet is just a nice layout of being easily trackable, and it's pretty user friendly. I mean, there's, like I said, there's a whole profile, there's instructions on how to use the website and how to read your data. And to go a little bit beyond that, I think at the end of the day, what we know scientifically right now is that cutting calories works to lose weight. So I think there's no doubt that if somebody has been struggling with dieting, or somebody has been kind of looking for a new way or an easier way to lose weight, that going on a diet like this, they're going to cut calories. So just by doing that, they're going to lose weight. So I think that there might be some bias there with some of the reviews of people who have used Habit, that maybe they just cut calories and that's how they lost the weight. I don't think necessarily, and they don't even put this full force like right in front of their homepage or right in front of your profile, that having different types of genes actually affect the foods that you should be eating. They put that kind of, it's not hidden, but you have to search in your profile to actually find out what kind of genes you had. So I don't even know how much the company is looking at the different gene variants to build your diet around. But like I said, they are trying to build a diet that is going to benefit you, whether it's with losing weight or trying to make it sustainable. Like I said, they supply recipes for you. They give you different, like I said, they make it very user friendly, and they allow you to track your progress over a long period of time. So another question I wrote down was, how would your results change if you started to lose weight? This was just a question I thought of because you only send in that one test, as far as I know. So you buy the kit and you send in that test in whatever state you're in. So if you're 50 pounds overweight and you send in your test, there's nothing on their website that I read or heard that if you were to lose 30 pounds, you send in another test. So I don't know if they're doing any kind of follow-up with how you're maybe how your gene expression changed after you lost the 40 pounds, and if they change your diet based on that. I don't think they're doing that yet, but what I do think they're doing that might end up that they might end up implementing in the long term for future diets is they are collecting a large amount of data. So by collecting a large amount of data, they are able to compare across other people's results and other people's responses to their shake, their blood glucose levels, their other results that they found from sending people this shake and gathering this data, is that maybe they're able to more easily compare across people's experiences with certain diets based on the diets they prescribe to other people who have found results. So I think that's the main gist of habit, and I think, like I said, I think it still has a lot to go before it's able to look at people's genes and give a diet specifically based off of genes. Right now, I think there might be even better options for if you're looking for like a user-friendly dieting format, if you want to look at it that way. Is there's a company called Avatar Nutrition, and they just look at your macronutrients and calorie intake to give you a diet, and basically it's just putting you in a calorie deficit to lose weight that way. There's no time restrictions, there's no specific foods you need to eat, they just give you specific macronutrients you need to hit, and then track your progress over time with that. But with habit overall, I think I like the idea of it. I like the idea that they are collecting, genomic data, they are collecting DNA to, collect this data and be able to compare it over time and prescribe better nutrition plans for people over time. But I just don't think that the science is there. And I don't think there's conclusive evidence to build somebody a nutrition program specifically based on their DNA. So, like I said, I don't know exactly what they're weighing when they make people's diets, meaning I don't know if they're weighing people's genetic information more than they're just weighing trying to put them in a calorie deficit. But I would think with this current science that they would be just trying to put people more in a calorie deficit and give them foods that would be relatively easy to make, that would be pretty sustainable over the long term. And if they do find some kind of genetic variation in a client or a customer, then maybe they do take that into consideration, like by lowering the percentage of fat intake. But again, I don't know exactly how much they're weighing all the information that they're getting, but I think over time this could be something that could be pretty beneficial to people who are having trouble, finding a diet that actually works for them. And I think as more research is done, especially larger studies like this 800-person study from the Weizmann Institute or the study from the New England Journal of Medicine, I think the more that these bigger studies are carried out and tracked, that maybe they'll find better associations, but still, I don't know when or if there would ever be any conclusive evidence that just basing a diet off of somebody's genetic makeup that's going to work 100% of the time. So that's basically all I wanted to talk about with this live stream. Again, this company is called Habit. If you want to find out any more information on it, I've put a few links in the description below, but that's it for this live stream, and I will see you in the next one.